Bye.
Today I was speaking about, should school uniforms be mandatory or should they be an individual's preference? If you have kids enrolled in the school system, you know how much of a hot topic school uniforms can be. Who knew, right? Many people do not give much thought into a student wearing school uniforms. I will be discussing why school uniforms should be required from kindergarten all the way up to the 12th grade of high school. School uniforms were first introduced to the world as early as the 1200s, according to procon.org. As a former student that was required to wear school uniforms from an earlier age, and that has 3 kids currently enrolled in the school system, I know the benefits of students wearing school uniforms. As a parent of 3 kids, I have been in both sides of the end, meaning that my kids have both went to a school that do require school uniforms and also do not require school uniforms. I have experienced the backlash and the financial part of it also. As mentioned earlier, school uniforms were first introduced as early as the 1200s in 1222 in England, according to procon.org and also to kidslovetoknow.com. School uniforms became affiliated with the upper class society as early as the 16th century in England, according to kidslovetoknow.com. Parochial and private schools first introduced the school uniforms to America in the early 1900s. This information was acquired from procon.org. Maryland and Washington were the first 2 states in America in the 1980 that volunteer introduced a school uniform. What is a school uniform? According to definition.net, a school uniform is a set of standardized clothes that are primarily worn for an educational institution. When school uniforms are utilized but the form of a basis of a dress code. The boys' uniform usually consists of a pair of knee-length shorts and or pants and collared t-shirts. Girls' uniform usually consists of white blouses, collared t-shirt, and knee-length skirts, and or sometimes dresses that are approved by the school system. Here is an example of a school uniform. Thank you. Now that you have listened to the history of the school uniforms and what school uniform means, let's move on to the cons of the school uniform. A lot of students and parents feel that by wearing uniform, they're taking away from the individuality of a person, the freedom of speech, and the freedom of expression. Tinker versus Dem One was a Supreme Court ruling in behalf of the students' freedom of speech in the public school system. This took place in 1969 in Iowa, where ultimately the student won against the school by the Supreme Court ruling stating that if it was not disrupting the course of the classroom, that they were allowed to wear anything that they needed to wear to express their freedom of speech. Uniform can also cause discomfort depending ultimately on the school and the student itself, since sometimes schools do have a requirement of a certain brand and a certain fabric that they could only wear. After listening to all of the opposite views as to why school uniforms should be required, let's look into the other side of the benefits of wearing school uniforms. The pros of wearing school uniforms are endless and are as follows. Students are constantly getting picked on and sometimes bullied by the clothes and shoes that they wear in the school system. All students will be required to wear the same brand or type of uniforms, tops and bottoms. By reinforcing uniforms, this issue could hopefully be eliminated. Uniforms are also cost efficiently at the end. Most parents and students like to argue that uniforms are costly. At the end of the day, if we sit down and calculate the dollar amounts, like I have done this, I will be proven that this is incorrect information. It costs It cost me around $80 to $100 to be able to dress my kids in uniforms, which was roughly for 5 months. Meanwhile, you'll be spending $300 to $600 in just regular clothes. I made this statistic about a year ago, and the outcome was outrageous of how much money I was spending per kid. I was spending $200 per kid in just 2 months. Let's review all of the information provided to you today. After listening to all of the points made in regards of not wearing uniforms, where it creates the singling out of students and where requiring school uniforms can prevent this issue and also allow students to not feel inferior or superior in regards of clothing, and they could ultimately focus on their main concern and the main reason why they attend school, which is education. After listening to all the points made in regards to requirements of wearing school uniforms, where individuals will not be singled out and where it will be ultimately be cost efficient to the parent, I will show you a girl that is not in uniform. Thank you. In the words of Hotlet, uniforms help students to prepare for when they leave school and may have to dress smartly or wear a uniform.